Hello everyone, this is Tom from Dirk Witte Music Store in Utrecht, the Netherlands. Today we're taking a look at a very cool vintage Gretsch guitar, which has been quite a while that we took a look at a vintage Gretsch, and it was worth the wait because this is a very cool one. It is not totally original, like quite a number of work or like quite a number of modifications done or like repairs, but in all of the right ways, because now we are dealing with a fantastic player, vintage Gretsch, minus like all of the vintage Gretsch problems, which we will get to in a minute. But this is a 1960 Gretsch Country Club 6192 model in its original sunburst finish. That finish is looking quite nice. If you are familiar with this model or like with Gretsch history, or even like the history of this model, you can definitely tell that this is not the original configuration that you are seeing right here. And you would be correct, because yeah, like I said, some work has been done to it, but resulting in a fantastic looking, playing and sounding vintage Gretsch. So very cool to have in the shop. Fantastic player again, and yeah, also just a total stunner. So let's dive into the specs. We are dealing with a completely hollow 17-inch body, so it is 17 inches on the lower bout from this point to this point, and it is then approximately 1 inch and 7/8 of an inch deep. So not super deep like Gibson hollow body deep, but still quite deep, so not like a thin line, anything like that. It is a laminated maple construction, so laminated maple top, sides and back. Obviously done in this beautiful original sunburst finish. What's kind of cool is that the scale length is actually quite long. It's 25.5 inches, which is kind of like Martin and Dreadnought territory. Not all that common to see on electric guitars. So that does make this for a yeah, quite a unique feel and also sound, because there's a little bit more tension on the strings as compared to other models made by Gretsch or even other electric guitars. We have got then these two Gretsch style pickups. Both of them are not original to this guitar. Let's first start off with the one in the neck. That is an actual 60s Gretsch pickup. It is actually a Gretsch Supertron pickup, probably from the mid 1960s, but that then features these two bar magnet type of pole magnets, I think that you should call them. So you do not have like screws that you'd find on most electric guitar pickups. So that then also gives this quite a unique sound. Not that warm as compared to like a humbucker, for example, like a normal style humbucker, but at the same time really has a very cool thing of its own that, yeah, I don't think that, yeah, there's nothing really that compares to it quite like it. It is a humbucker, but doesn't sound like a normal humbucker, like in a very good way, as you will hear so in a minute. And then this pickup right here is also non-original and actually a more modern style, TV Jones style pickup, a Ray Butts TV Jones pickup with then that patent number embossed there on the top. You can definitely tell that it is quite new compared to the rest of the hardware, because it is still very gold. Underneath these pickup rings there's also some routing going on, because there's a good chance that this was once like equipped with Gibson style humbuckers, because those routes do kind of look a bit larger than what you would have seen originally. But as we can tell, fortunately those are perfectly well hidden by the pickup rings of these Gretsch style pickups, so no worries there, and also no worries when it comes to the installment of these pickups, like they're totally secure, so no any sort of problems right there. So if you didn't know, if it didn't tell you, wouldn't know unless you would take it apart, so that is a good thing. This bridge is also non-original. This is also a more new style Gretsch bar bridge. So this is an original Gretsch design. It's kind of like this a cylinder type of bar, obviously gold, and that is then slotted for strings, resulting in this pretty cool look. And it also actually just intonates really well. Not entirely sure how that would work, because you cannot really intonate it all that much, but it works well, so that's a good thing. This Bixby is also non-original, but definitely an old one. This is kind of like a B6 tailpiece, obviously also done in gold, or what is left of it, because this tailpiece, this Bixby has been aged beautifully, as we can definitely tell with that Gretsch logo going on over there, also with that pointy arrow thing that you see right here, also very much Gretsch in style. And it is then equipped with kind of like the Chad Atkins style arm, which also just works really well. It's actually quite stable, so that is very nice to have with a Gretsch style of Bixby. And it just looks super cool, very classy look. Got the original pickguard, which just reads Gretsch over here, not like Gretsch Country Club, anything like that, just Gretsch. And it's also actually in a quite nice shape. You do got some cracking going on over here, but nothing major, and it is just totally secure. When it comes to the controls, this being a Gretsch, it is not like a Gibson. So let's just start off with these 3 knobs right here. All 3 of them are volume knobs. This is a master volume control for the entire guitar, and then these are individual volume controls for each of your pickups, so that you can like blend them to your liking. These little switches right here, pickup selector switch, which is yeah, pretty basic. These are, by the way, actually swapped, because normally the pickup selector will be over here as compared to here. But so now you have the pickup selector over here. Then this is your tone control, because with Gretsch you do not normally have a tone knob. You have this tone switch. So in the middle it is just wide open. So you basically get your tone at 10. And then if you have it upwards, you get your tone kind of slightly rolled off. I would say at around, if you like compare it to like a tone knob, it will be like around 7 to 8. And then if you have it down, it is set to quite dark and quite low, probably like around 2-ish. So yeah, you basically just have 3 tones. You basically have 3 tone settings, and actually on top of that, the capacitors that do this have actually also been replaced in this guitar to actually be more useful, because the originals were not that great as compared to like the more modern style. So this actually does what I just described, as in that it gives you a proper kind of like 7-ish type of tone on the knob if it were a knob, and a 2 if it were a knob, whereas I believe the vintage ones would be a little bit, not entirely sure how those would sound, but not as good. That is what I was told. So that is actually kind of like an upgrade, also one of those things that is yeah, kind of problematic with the old ones made by Gretsch, old guitars. And then this is yeah, eliminated with that, so that is actually probably a good thing. Obviously got your dual F-holes, and what's also cool is that in the body you also got some pretty unique bracing, quite heavy style bracing, and this bracing is called heavy trestle bracing. So that is also quite unique to Gretsch, that they only did from 1958 until 1960. And if you look inside the body, you can see these very thick, kind of like almost beams that then hold kind of like the that kind of hold the whole thing in place, which then also gives it a quite unique sound. A lot of sustain with this, not something that you would quite expect from like a big hollow body like this. So that is also quite historically interesting to have that in this model. Yeah, super cool. You then still also got the original screw-on strap buttons that you then unscrew, and then you put on your strap, and then you screw it back into place. Kind of like the original locking system almost, which is very cool. And then moving on to the neck, which by the way has also been reset, because when the former owner got this, there was a lot of work that actually needed to be done to the neck. So that has then been reset, beautifully done. So we can tell very little, if any, tooling marks or like just marks in general that tell you that there was a big neck reset done. So that is actually yeah, a really good thing to have. So this can be played for another 65 years. This neck, by the way, is made out of maple. So you've got 2 pieces of maple and then a quite thin walnut strip going through the center. I'm guessing that it is walnut, by the way, not 100% sure, but looks to be. The fingerboard is made out of ebony, which is then also bound, and then you got the thumbnail inlays, the markers right there. And one thing that is also very cool, first off, refretted. So this has some brand new frets, which are some Dunlop 6230. It's kind of like the vintage style frets, not super tiny, but they are a little bit more narrow than kind of like your modern, like medium jumbos, for example. But they play incredibly well, and like I said, they are just brand spanking new. So yeah, you got all of the life left in them. But to make things even more cool is that while they were added, this actually used to feature some other inlays also on this fingerboard, which were actually dot inlays, mother of pearl dots, which would then like run through the middle up until like the 12th fret, and then they would go on to the side, I believe, of the fingerboard. But when the frets were removed, the former owner then asked or decided to then have those removed, and in order to do that, the entire middle section of the fingerboard needed to be basically routed out, and then the luthier installed just this completely new blank piece of wood made out of ebony, obviously, in there. And it is just, yeah, it is just quite unbelievable, because you just do not see it. And if I did not tell you, there's no way that you would know, because it is just done absolutely beautifully. It just matches perfectly. There are no like any sort of seams or anything like that, or any indicators of that ever being the case. If you like look super closely, you can kind of tell that the wood grain is just slightly mismatched, but that is just so hard to see, and I mean, it just looks fantastic, and it also just plays fantastic. So big props to the luthier that did that, because that is just an incredible job that he did, and yeah, really brought it back to its former glory. So that's super cool. You then also, by the way, this being a Gretsch, you got a 0 fret, so that is kind of also very much a Gretsch thing. And then the nut, it appears to be made out of yeah, could be made out of bone, but not 100% sure. Maybe also some other synthetic material, but it just does the job really, really well. And then obviously you've also got this very cool Gretsch headstock with your logo done in mother of pearl. Got your trussel cover, and the face of the headstock is also then done in rosewood, which also looks super cool. And then on the back we've got these very cool kidney style, like kidney bean style Grover tuners, which are non-original to this model or to this particular guitar, but those have been then installed quite a while ago, because these are also very much like old school and vintage 1960s Grover tuners that are very yeah, very much like accurate to that time, and they also just work really well, and they look super, super cool. And then the overall condition, like when it comes to the finish, also actually really, really nice. Obviously you do got some wear and tear, but nothing really out of the ordinary. You do got some finish marks over there on the side. Obviously some nicks and dings, some scratches, also there in the cutaway. But what's very nice to see is that there's very little, if any, binding rot, because old Gretsch guitars are known to have this type of binding that just rots away over time. Not the case with this one whatsoever. Like, I'm looking over it right now. Nope. I do not see any sort of cracking going on. There is some yellowing and maybe a tiny bit of shrinkage, but like I said, just nothing out of the ordinary or nothing to worry about whatsoever. So that's very, very sweet to see. And yeah, like I said, overall finish is in a very, very nice shape, and it just looks super, super cool with also that finish checking and stuff. So yeah. And then the last thing to mention, also comes with its original hard shell case with the blue interior, so that's also very cool. Also got the original trem arm that was originally on this Bixby, and also the box for this bridge pickup. So yeah, super, super cool old Gretsch that has lived quite alive and has been really brought back to its former glory. This just plays and sounds fantastic. Very peculiar type of style of guitar and also type of sound, but like in all of the right ways. A very inspiring guitar that just sounds and plays just fantastic. So let's then get to that part and hear what it sounds like. But first, if you're interested in this 1960 Gretsch Country Club 6192 model, be sure to head over to the links in the description for further details. If you enjoyed this demo, be sure to like the video and to subscribe to the channel for more cool weekly demos of cool electric guitars like these, cool acoustic guitars, bass guitars even, of that really cool stuff. Also be sure to like us and to follow us on our socials, Instagram and Facebook. Links are also in the description. With all that being said, let's see what this really cool Gretsch Country Club from 1960 sounds like. Going to be playing it through the Marshall JTM 45 Bluesbreak style amplifier. Let's move on to that part and let's take this super, super cool vintage Gretsch 6192 model for a spin.
you.